This is not a test.
Let's get ready to rumble! He holded a rock, told it a block, oh, you burned to my town. They said the game will mold ya. From a rookie to a veteran, with me I'm not settling. Perfection gets me crowned in the ground, stuff to crumble. You can have it until you lose it. Established and proven, unions a movement. AIDS on the beat, got sauce on the thoughts. Wind beneath my wings, race hell with these books. Collision course when I fall, and now I'm going off. And if your boys run your mouth, I'm like Vic and all your dog. Co-pilot on this ride, where we're going to Mars.
Good evening, kids.
What's up?
How's everybody tonight?
What's up? What's up?
I spin with Spitter Wednesday evening, special time, 8:30 p.m. I have some guests with me. To my right, Chris Yarnell, and to his right, Jordan Scott. How are you guys doing this evening?
You know, living, maintaining. It's about
What's
my
up?
bedtime, but it's okay.
Nice. Chris, how are you?
All is well in this house. Good to see you, brother.
Absolutely. Likewise, it's good to see both of you guys again. So I asked you guys to come on to discuss. Now, this is the second annual.
Second annual.
Because I was saying 9th annual, 4th annual, 23rd annual, second annual Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery.
Yep.
You can say, thank you for speaking that into existence, because you can say 7th annual, 8th annual, 9th annual, because that's the goal, to continue to do this thing. Started from the bottom, now we're here. See, I'm trying to be like you, TJ.
As soon as the cameras cut on, it's showtime for Chris. I love it.
You told me I got to step it up. Since last time I was kind of like chill. So
All over the place, a little nervous.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So before you guys break down the Walk for Recovery, I want to know each of your backstories on why you guys advocate for the Walk for Recovery, and why is it so dear to your hearts?
So I know for me, I mean, I've been really stepping into like that advocacy space for probably the last, I don't know, 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even just it's not even just the fact that like I'm a person in recovery,
Right.
you know, from substance use and mental health. But like I work in the field, and I've worked in the field for, you know, the last 8, almost 9 years. And the reality is like nobody's coming to save us.
Right.
And I was seeing that every day and finding myself getting angry and angry and angry. And finally was like, I got to channel this anger into something productive, which
Sure.
for me is advocacy, because nobody is coming to save us. And the people whose voices need to be heard, which is the people who use drugs, they don't have a seat at the table. There is nobody amplifying their voices. So like, I'm not saying that I speak for people who are using drugs, but I'm the person that's out there saying you need to be talking to the people who use drugs.
Sure.
So like that's where my calling for advocacy came from, was just being tired.
Right. Right. Like all of us, me and Chris have known each other damn near our whole lives, but Jordan, I met you in the recovery space a very long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I also started working in the recovery field, and I understand completely what you mean, because it brought a level of anger to me that I didn't even know existed, like the lack of treatment, the lack of care, the lack of empathy, you know. And so I understand completely. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking, I'm glad Jordan went first, and I'm wondering why, you know, when we do these shows, I'm always so grateful that you have us on. But we don't ever get a script, man. Like, I can't study. And
I
you put us
refuse.
on the fly, man. Like,
I refuse. Like, we can't. It's not authentic and it's not organic. If you here,
I know
take
that's
the
right.
script and these are the questions that I'm going to ask you. That no.
You know how we do it. See, I know how you roll, and
Right.
I know how you think, because, like you said, you know, we go way back. We won't tell the fans how far back because we want to keep them thinking we're younger than we look, right?
For sure.
You know, so Josiah, if you don't get up off me, boy, he's leaning over here. He wants to see his uncle, man, so bad.
I love it.
Here's Uncle TJ.
Love you, man.
Now go do your homework or something. But anyway, I know why you asked the questions on the fly like that, because you know that the answer that Jordan and I give are going to be from the heart and not something that we could, you know, think of to be scripted. So, you know, I'm glad you asked Jordan first because, like you said, I've known you pretty much my whole life. And Jordan and I have been on this journey together probably almost, I would say, 12 years now, somewhere between 10 and 12 years. Mm-hmm. Right, Jordan?
Yeah,
and, you know, she's been a blessing and at times a thorn in my side, bro, because
somebody's got to be.
You can't play with Jordan, okay?
Chris, you're a liar.
Jordan likes to argue. If you say the sky is blue, Jordan's going to be like, oh, no, listen, it's this way, you know. And I'm listen to what I'm saying, though. I love that about her. She will not sugarcoat you and just roll with what you say because she's not that type of person. So to answer your question, I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can on this show and tell you guys the truth. A lot of days, Battleborn itself gets stigmatized as the organization that helps vets with recovery.
Sure.
Like, we're the guys that help the drug and alcohol guys. And that could be nothing farther from the truth. That's one component of what we do. And some days, like Jordan talked about and you mentioned, the whole, listen, I'm not going to talk about the gaps in the VA. I'm not going to talk about the gaps in treatment. We all know they're there.
Right.
I'm not going to focus on that problem. We're all of the same mindset. We're going to focus on the solution. Jordan's going to bridge the gap where she can. Battleborn's going to bridge the gap where we can and do it to the best of our ability together. That being said, sorry, the dogs are running around the house. To answer your question the best I can is some days I get tired. Some days I want to be like, why do we got to be the guys touching that component in the veteran community? And then I get reminded we're the guys who do it because a lot of other people don't want to. Mm-hmm. And there's a stigma that comes with that. And Jordan was one of the most profound people when we started in reminding me that this is needed. Right. Like, this is why we advocate. It's needed. And my only goal is to bridge the gaps. I'm not here to change the world. I'm not here to fix treatment, just to get in where I fit in and do my best to help. And that's why we advocate, you know, on different levels. She does her thing, I do my thing, and together it's success, you know?
So how hard of a process is it? And mind you, all the questions that I'm asking you, I already know the answers to. How hard of a process is it to do something like a Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery?
Oh, man. Go ahead, Jordan.
Really, it's about getting together. Like, one, like, you need solid people. Like, you've got to have people that are actually going to do work.
Right.
You know, because this was, I mean, you know, you had the basics of, you know, making a Facebook page and, you know, creating an email account. But, like, you know, bringing in the funding, bringing in the sponsors, like, that's work. Like, we're networking, we're calling people, we're emailing, we're promoting it. I mean, because I know, like, when we were planning the first walk, we were hoping, you know, we were going to be happy if we were able to raise like $5,000. And in the beginning, for a while, we were kind of scared, like, are we even going to be able to do that? And then before we know it, you know, stuff started rolling in and we were able to raise 12,000. But I mean, it's work, you know, everything's work, but yeah. I'm glad, like, we've got a solid core group of people that have remained committed to like being on the committee and everybody playing their role.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like this year is bittersweet because it's going to be my last year with the walk, you know, because
don't say that. Don't say that.
Wait, why?
TJ, she says that. She says that, right? But listen, she's not telling you the truth because she's moving. But then she's like, well, maybe I could just stay on the walk committee virtually from North Carolina. She ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. This is her baby. She ain't going nowhere.
It is my baby. But no, I mean, at the end of May, you know, me and my boyfriend were moving down to Wilmington, North Carolina, and I'll still be involved in like whatever way I can pitch in and help. But I'm also hoping that like I can get down to Wilmington, North Carolina and do this down there too.
Mm-hmm.
I love
like
that.
this walk is my baby. Like we've been doing this. Like we met for the first time September of 2019.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
COVID, man. And then COVID knocked us out the box.
And you know, COVID pushed everything off for a year. And when we look at, all I know is a very small group of people were able to create this really organic community event. And in our second year, we doubled the money that we were able to fundraise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, last year we were able to pull in 12,000 and 9,000 of that went back out into the community. And this year we were able to pull in 24,000.
Wow.
And over 19,000 of that is going back into the community again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we only keep like the money that we keep covers the little bit of expenses that we have, you know, and we keep a little bit of money to start up the next year. But that's all this is, because the reality is, and this is a piece that a lot of people don't know about because they're not in, you know, in the drug and alcohol field, or they're not in the behind the scenes. Like there's a lot of grant money out there.
Right.
But it's so competitive.
For sure.
And the way the system is designed, your grassroots organizations, they don't get access to that funding.
Right.
You know, they can't, you know, how can an organization like Battleborn, you know, for example, compete with this, you know, national nonprofit that hires professional grant writers?
Right.
And just like much of the rest of society, the grant world is also the good old boy system.
For sure. It really is. And not to cut you off, that's part of the reason why I left the last position I was in the recovery field, why I left, because I seen if it doesn't sit right with my moral compass and my spirit, and people are doing things for the wrong reason, I don't want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. You know, and without going into detail or slander or anything like that, just my goal is to help the next sick and suffering addict. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. And I get it. You know, I was in the same boat. Like I left my position of 5 years back in, you know, end of November. And it had nothing to do with, you know, the organization that I worked for. It was all the other stuff.
Right.
It was fighting the politics, fighting all the grimy stuff that happens behind the scenes, and it drained me. And I had to step away and like regroup. And same thing, like when I went back to work, it was, I need to work for a company that matches my values and will allow me to be me. Right. Because my advocacy has gotten me in trouble a few times.
Wait, what's my surprise face?
Shocking.
TJ, this is no secret. I've had to like say, Jordan, tone it down a little bit. You're going to rub some people the wrong way, you know, but she balances me out and reminds me what's important, you know.
Sometimes you have to do that to get the results you need, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do it the best we can because our goal and objective is not to create controversy by any means. And like Jordan was touching on, right? Like I know some of the people may remember from last year, and she did a great job explaining the walk, but it really, the idea behind it, and we're always going to talk about this, is our friend Steve came to me and he was like, listen, I want to do this walk. I've got some ideas. The people that I was going to do it with, they're just spinning me around, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he's like, I need to be able to do it. And I was like, you're not going to be able to do something like that. You know, people aren't going to give you money without you running it through some sort of charity and stuff like that. Right. So the idea popped in my head. I said, let me talk to Phil from Northbound. I checked with my board. I said to Anthony Duran, and Anthony was like, I love it, bro. Vets and civilians coming together for a good cause. And again, back to the original thing where you talked about advocacy, people constantly mess this up. They hear recovery and automatically they think drugs and alcohol.
Right.
Recovery is sobriety. No,
right.
man. Recovery is much more inclusive than just drugs and alcohol. Like we got vets that are recovering from PTSD. They don't have a substance problem. Right. They're in recovery. So back to the thing is, you know, our team was like, this would be great. And I went back to Steve and I said, listen, we'll do this on one, only if one thing happens. And he was like, what's that? I said, if Jordan agrees to be the committee chair. And he was like, okay. I said, because if Jordan won't be the chair of the walk, then I can't do it. Like, I don't know how to do walks. I'm not trying to kill myself trying to do a walk. I got to focus most of my time on Battleborn. I can be a part of the walk, but I can't take away from our main mission to be over here doing a walk. And she knows what she's doing. And as you can see, she killed it. And like she said, the whole intent was this. And I don't say this often because I don't really think of it like this, but my team reminded me tonight. Nobody handed us anything. Okay. And this is by no means to brag or boast. Right. But my wife and I took the down payment on our home. And she reminded me before we got on this thing so I could say it. We took the down payment of our home. We believed in this mission enough with people like Jordan who helped us start with the mission statement. You know, Jess, who gave us the logo, like a team of people came together and believed in this mission enough that we started out of our own pockets. And some of you remember, we went around every single event and sold T-shirts out of the trunk of our car to raise money to help veterans in the community. Now, why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because when the idea came with Steve and Jordan, and we talked about it as like, now we've built something to where we have a pretty good reputation and we can now raise money and help other organizations like how we started. Jordan uses fancy terms like grassroots and organic, right? I think she's talking about vegetables. But what I'm saying is Battleborn got out there and pounded the pavement.
Right.
And would it have been nice if somebody would have said, we see your work and here's a nice donation to get you started? And, you know, like these groups that we're donating to now, they're like us. They started out, they're hustling. No one's handing them money. They don't have money for grant, you know, all that stuff that she spoke about. So we're blessed to be able to do this for somebody else like we would have liked it to be done for us. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what it's really about. It's about giving that next group. And here's the thing, key point. The groups that our committee is voting on to be the recipients, you know, we ask people to submit a nonprofit and then our team votes on who we're going to choose to donate money to. The point I want to make is part of the selection is they got to be putting the money back in. Right. Like these same groups that we're giving money to, they're the ones that are actually, the money's going right into the fight. You know, are you tracking one? Like the money's going into the fight. And that's who we're looking to choose, you know, to be recipients of this funds. And she's short, man, the $3,000, we were hoping to make $3,000. We're like, man, if we could just get $3,000, that would be $1,000 for each organization at the end of the walk. And we looked at the bank and we're like, oh my God, we could give away $9,000. And Jordan's not telling you that her and I fight all the time because he wants to give away every penny that we raise, and we need to put something away for next year's walk, because we don't want to start out in a hole. So we fight because she's like, give it all away. And I'm like, well, what about next year's walk? And so we go at it. It's all good. It's love.
What's where does the money go? After it gets thrown, after all the money's allotted to where it has to go, some will go back into the walk for next year. The rest will go to the recipients. The recipients, when they get that money, where does it go? Where do they put it?
Well, so this year, our beneficiaries, of course, Battleborn. But so this year we chose Reach Youth Recovery Center out in Emmaus. And then we chose Victor's Corner. So Reach, it's a youth recovery center, which is needed. We always hear people talk about, save the children, until it's time to put that money up.
Good.
Right? Because nothing's free. So like Reach is near and dear to my heart because my problem started when I was an adolescent. And
as do most.
Right. And I tell everybody, if I had gotten the proper interventions as a teenager, I never would have had chaotic drug use.
Right.
If I had got those proper interventions, if I had had a Reach recovery center where I grew up. But Reach isn't getting big contracts. They're not getting big grants. They should be. They should be fully funded, right? But they're not. Reach provides after school programming, resources for the kids. They partner up with Colby Academy. They provide resources for the families. And then we have Victor's Corner, who is a brand new nonprofit.
Yep.
Monica actually joined our committee, and she's been a huge part of that. And, she started Victor's Corner in honor of her brother who passed away on, I think it was Christmas a couple years ago.
Christmas Day.
And so, she's still growing her organization. I think she's still figuring out, like, what is this going to be? But so far, she has 2 recovery libraries. She has one at the Hope Center. And then so the Hope Center is the newest one, but she started out with her recovery library at the Palmer Recovery Center.
Yeah.
And like, that's near and dear to my heart because I'm the biggest bookworm in the world.
Yeah.
So it's just, and you talk about where the money is going, and it makes me think about so I'm a history buff. I love learning about history. Because if we don't know where we came from, then we're bound to repeat those same mistakes. And this last year or so, I've done a lot of research into the history of the recovery movement. Because a good friend of mine, Bill Stauffer, who's the executive director of Pro A, he's been around almost 30 years. So I love hearing him talk about the history of the recovery movement.
Right.
And, he'll tell me about the days when there were no treatment centers and there was no funding for treatment, and how it wasn't the people in charge that made that happen. It was people in recovery who fought to make those changes happen.
Right.
And I love hearing him. So back in 2004, advocates and people in recovery from all across the country came together because they were seeing the past repeating itself.
Right.
We were seeing all these deficits in our systems of care and the funding and all the issues that we all know about. And again, it wasn't the people in charge that came to save us. It was
us.
It was us.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That came together and stood up and was like, okay, enough. We got to do something.
Yeah.
Well, so now we're again in a space where history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
And we're going backwards again. And so, again, it's not the people in charge that are going to save us. It has to be us. And the power lies in mobilizing those grassroots communities.
Mm-hmm.
Because what people in charge fear is when the masses come together.
Yeah, absolutely. This is with everything in this world.
I'm not crying, I swear.
And so I can't use the phrase storm the Capitol anymore.
Oh my God. Jordan, cut it. TJ, cut it. Cut TJ.
But
here she goes. TJ.
Time man 2532.
Here she goes.
But I'm deeply involved in the advocacy space. Mm-hmm. And so often I'm in a room or I'm on a Zoom call with other advocates across the country, and we get angry, right? That anger builds up, and we want to be like, you know what, dismantle the whole system, burn it to the ground, start over. Like,
Yo, time man 26 minutes. We're not burning anything to the ground.
You see what CJ, you see what I'm talking about, bro? Yo, and I'm never like the stable one, the voice of reason. And in this relationship, I got to be like, Jordan, don't get her started. Hey, Jordan, Alan checked in. What's your favorite book? I'm doing your job.
Jordan.
What's your favorite book?
Looking it up. So if anybody has not heard of a gentleman called by the name of Dr. Carl Hart, he is, I cannot wait to meet him one day. He has wrote an amazing book, and don't be put off by the title, but the title is Drug Use for Grown-Ups. And that's currently my favorite book because he really pushes us to rethink the way we look at drug use as a whole. And the prohibition and the criminalization of it and the war on drugs. So, Alan, that is my current favorite book right now. But I said all that to say, like Chris said earlier, I alone am not going to change the system. Right. Either is Chris, either are you. But what we can do is initiate change in our community.
There we go.
So, like, it's that phrase of like, think globally, act locally. So like, I can't dismantle the whole system. I can, however, start to create change where I live. And then hopefully that inspires somebody, copy that and bring it to where they live.
Yep.
And then they inspire the next person. And then we have that ripple effect. And then now we've got advocates across the country.
All right.
Who aren't scared to speak up and say, this isn't working. We're not going to do this anymore.
And if I could, Jordan's doing a great job, but like, man, she's talking about reach. She's talking about Victor's Corner. And to be able to sit here and know Donna, if you know Donna Jacobson, you know that she's the real deal. People who know her know that she is out there doing her thing. Her and her team are amazing. I mean, the stuff that they do, Jordan did a great job. I don't have to piggyback on what she said. The thing with Monica is, being someone who was personally friends with her brother, and being with him a few days before he lost his life and just watching her start this. I mean, like Jordan talked about it. It is a library, but the greatest thing is, like, with Monica's hard work, like, people can walk in these centers and take a book. Like, our donations are going to go to help Monica buy books for people who may not have money for a basic text, a big book, a smart recovery book, a self-help book, a spiritual book, but they can walk in there and pick up that book and sign it that they took it, and it's free.
Right.
Thanks to Monica and the Lehigh Valley Recovery Walk. And more importantly, the community, the people that are chiming in. I saw Renee's comment. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate your support always. People saying, we can't take the credit for the work. We're just doing the work, man. Like, we can't take the credit for the results. It's the community. It's you guys. And, Jordan talked about advocacy. The one thing I wanted to put on that too is, if I can just, like she talked about, be that gap, right? Because when people leave treatment or whatever they're going to, the things that we're talking about, what's ultimately going to keep them on the right path is community. So if we can do walks like this, and there are some other amazing groups out there kicking ass. I don't know if I can say ass on Facebook Live, but they are kicking ass, and I'm proud to know them and work with them. You know, the Hope Center, Palmer Recovery Center, Change on Main, Change on Hamilton, you know, Oasis, all these centers that people don't know about, that they're going to be at the walk. Colby Academy, Recovery High School. Come on, who would have thought about something like that 20 years ago?
Recovery High School, bro?
Recovery High School, man. Like, how awesome is that there's a high school that recognizes to help these youth? And where I was going, because my brain's, I'm getting tired, man. I'm old. Sync Recovery, you know, out there doing so much stuff to bring, and ultimately what I see and what they talk to you about in treatment is if you're going to stay on the right path, this is a long-term thing. It's not 30 days in treatment and boom, good luck. You know, if you don't get connected to the stuff that we're doing with the walk, like the organizations coming there, that's what's ultimately going to give you that sense of belonging, to connect to something, to keep you on the right path. Because it's funny, because you go to treatment and they tell you like to do stuff when you leave treatment. You know, like get involved.
Service.
Yeah, get involved with a program, find a tribe, find a community, fit in, be accountable to somebody. You know, those
Go make
things.
A cup of coffee for somebody.
Heck yeah. You know, donate some money. Donate some. How about forget the money? How about your time?
Right.
Your time is always going to be. Listen, money's great. And as a person who owns a nonprofit, I will tell you, money is great. And our culture is like, oh, here's a problem. Let's throw money at it. And we need money. Don't misunderstand me. But it's that getting in the trenches when we take the vets back out into the homeless camps, finding vets and civilians that need supplies, and getting them in the act of giving back is more valuable than just giving them money. So I don't know. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but
that's fine.
You know,
that's fine.
No, because I love that you brought up that aspect of community.
Yeah.
It's like, so for me, like I've been on, so like I'm working on, you know, 10 years being in recovery, right?
Congratulations.
Right. That, I mean, you know,
I remember when you first came in.
Right. Hot mess.
Rocky little young pain in the ass. Oh wait, that's her now.
Right.
All kinds of ideas of how to fix everything. If you don't sit down, shut up, and just take in the message, but go ahead.
So, you know, universe willing, right? You know, December will be 10 years, which is mind blowing to me. But, you know, like my recovery has evolved over the years as I've grown into the person that I've always wanted to be. So like for me, like my recovery pathway changed the last couple of years. I went for a more traditional route, but my pathway now is my community.
Right.
Civic engagement, volunteering, giving back.
Right.
So I look back now and I was so grateful that we started this journey of the recovery walk back in September of 2019, because then when COVID hit and we're all in lockdown and everybody's isolated and everybody's going through it, like the walk kept me centered.
Right.
It gave me a purpose. It gave me a reason to get up, suit up, go on with my day. Because what would be back in my head is, well, you can't walk away because you made a promise and you made a commitment.
That C word.
Yeah. And like that community is so huge.
Yeah.
So Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery, what is y'all mission statement?
Ooh.
I don't know if we have a mission statement beyond one, bringing the community together, because everybody should care about the well-being of their community.
Sure.
Right? A happy community is a healthy community.
Sure.
So first mission statement, bringing the community together. And then the second, and what I think is the most important, is helping out those grassroots organizations.
It's a it's a twofold ministry, so to speak. It's twofold because we got to see it last year. We got to see people come who it came up to us and said, man, I thought when I would hear people talk about recovery, it meant this. And wow, boy, was I wrong. We talk about it all the time, TJ, misinformed people giving misinformation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To see
you were expecting just a bunch of drug addicts sitting around getting high at this walk. You know what I mean? Like the misinformation.
And you thought everybody that came to the recovery walk was just a substance problem?
Right.
My new definition of recovery, thanks to recovery partnerships that I just did my CPS course in, and I love this definition, so I'm going to share it here tonight because it blew my mind what the certified peer specialist defined recovery as. And it has nothing to do with a particular diagnosis or singled out issue. But they talk about teaching the peers that recovery is remembering who you are now and using all your strengths to be the person that you were meant to be. Nowhere in that statement does it say get off drugs, fight PTSD, mental health, sexual trauma. Whoa, did he say sexual trauma? Yes, people are recovering from sexual trauma. I'm going to say it. MST, military sexual trauma. A lot of groups don't want to talk about it. Battleborn, you heard it here first. We're in the process of creating a plan of action to start providing that type of counseling and services for people affected by that. Nobody else is touching it. It's like taboo. We don't want to talk about it. Let's sweep it under the rug. People are recovering from a multitude of issues that have nothing to do with substances. Recovery is all inclusive. I'll say it 1,000 times. So bringing, like Jordan said, here's the mission statement. Let's bring people together for a great cause and have some fun and stop the stigmas.
Right.
Let them see what recovery really looks like, because I can hear the word, but when I see it, you ever look at something you thought it was one thing, and when you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was.
I dealt with somebody in that, and I want to use my words correctly, right? In that light, 2 years back, somebody had called me a junkie.
Whoa, what?
And I said, oh, okay. Well, let me break it down for you what this junkie does every day. And let's see if you can keep up.
Yeah.
With as respectfully as possible, because I'm not here to ruffle any feathers or anything like that. But recovery is, I love it. Recovery is all inclusive. Sexual abuse victims, domestic violence victims, people that suffering from a gambling addiction, people that have eating disorders, the list goes on and on and on.
Thank you for those. I missed those two, and I always usually use those two as a perfect example. I forgot. That's a big thing, especially, Jordan touched on it, and that's why we love Donna too. The youth, we're dealing with the youth, the problems that they face, the eating disorders, the self-esteem issue, the Facebook bullying, the cutting.
Let's be clear. So check this out, Chris, when me and you were in school, right? Dealt with some shit for 8 hours a day. Then you went home, didn't have to deal with it till you went back. Now kids and they smartphones and they social media, they are dealing with whatever issue that they have for 24 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
And can't escape it. Let's be clear. This is an all-inclusive process for everyone that is suffering some sort of trauma that they're recovering from. Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery, May 14th.
15th.
May 15th. I repeat, Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery, May 15th. Where's the location at?
It is at Louise Moore Park, Pavilion 5, from 3 to 7 o'clock.
Yep.
I think between all of our sponsors and vendors, we've got like 70 different vendors that are going to be there. We've got like 20 baskets that we're going to raffle off, a 50-50. We're going to have our t-shirts for sale again. We've got a photo booth again this year. Mad J's Barbecue is coming back.
Mad J's. Yo, that's alone worth it. And a special new guest this year, Seth & Co. Coffee Company.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've got Millennia Salon is going to be doing their goddess glitter hair. So TJ, you can get
getting the goddess glitter hair, bro. I'm getting it. They're gonna make me look good.
All this hair glitterized.
Absolutely.
Millennia is awesome.
The audio files are going to be playing live music.
Okay.
So one of my guys, one of our team, he's a Navy veteran, and he plays guitar. And he said, hey, they're donating. The band is donating their time to come out and rock this thing. And they just played. They play all over, but they just played New Year's Eve for the city of Allentown. They rocked the city of Allentown for New Year's Eve out in the public. And there's something really cool coming up too. One of AJ, AJ. We all know AJ. AJ's son has like a band. All the kids that graduated from School of Rock, but they're not affiliated with School of Rock, but that's where they met and they play. And Audio Files is letting them play like I think 8 songs. Like they're gonna share the set. Like Audio Files is rocking out, and then the young kids are gonna rock out in between. And it's gonna be awesome, man. I hear these young kids are amazing too. And so we got 2 cool bands, like amazing bands. And
this year we will wrap up the event with a candlelight memorial.
And let's not forget the main attraction. I'm so honored to have her again. She comes to all Battleborn events. But Sue Lynn is going to come and drop the national anthem. And when she does, I'm just bring your tissues. Because
she gave me chills last year.
What? She made the hair, the little bit I have, stand up on my head.
He said the hair put his hair right on his head. There ain't no hair up there. Knock it off.
The reason, we thank Phillipsburg last year, the town council, Robert Fooper, all those guys made it happen for us there, got us to start. And we were torn about moving it this year. But the original plan was always to move it around the valley so that we could touch a different area. We were really like, Walters Park was great. We want to keep it there. Just things changed and different sponsors were like, well, because it's in, we had a little bit of a tough issue. I'll say this if I'm allowed to, but we love like our Warren County peeps, and they had trouble with coming to PA with their restrictions, with their grants and providing. It's just such a fine line. And then like people that wanted to sponsor us in PA said, hey, we really can't sponsor if it's in Jersey. And it's like, you're trying to make everybody happy, but that's not why we're doing this. We're doing it like the original goal was every year to move it, to move it. And Louisemore Park is amazing as well.
Where's Louisemore Park located?
It's like Bethlehem Township, but it's
Country Line. I think it's Country Line Road.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. And that's where Northampton County holds their festival. So I was there getting the award of the year for the veteran from the county. And I looked around and said to Jordan, this would be a great spot. And with her connection, she locked it right in and we were good to go. Because you can walk right around the park. So we don't have to leave the park. We don't have to put people like they're walking on the road or get police escort. They stay in the park. It's big enough. Right. It's going to be great, man. And we are expecting a big turnout. So real quick, thank you to the BNI East chapter, Bethlehem East, PenCap Properties, Valley Health Partners, just to name, County of the. I can't name all the sponsors. TJ's show would be over and he'd be punching me for taking up an extra hour. But thank you to everyone who contributed to this year's walk. Without them, it's not happening. I mean, it's just the returning sponsors from last year and all the new ones that came on board. It's just like we're blown away. Like when we get together, we're just blown away. Like there's no word to put on the emotions. Like, wow, this thing has grown exponentially. Like it's just insane. We can't even believe it. And if we're growing like this now in second year, I can't imagine what it's going to get.
Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery.
Be there or be square, homie.
Yikes.
Can I be on the next rap video?
That would require me to be a rapper player. I don't do that anymore.
I got my rap name, bro. I figured it out. Sweet and low.
All right, like I got a couple of timestamps on here, and 4450, please timestamp.
4450. Sweet and low in the house.
I appreciate you guys as always coming on. May 15th. It starts at 3:00.
3:00.
Louise Moore Park, May 15th. Lehigh Valley Walk for Recovery. Chris, Jordan, as always, I appreciate you guys. Is there anything else that you guys want to say before we get out of here? I'm glad that there's no segment at the end of this where y'all get to ask me questions. That's not happening.
Wait, why not? Let's talk about you for a minute. Let's talk about all the great work you're doing.
Everybody knows everything I do.
Well, that's true. They watch the show. But no, we're proud of you, man. You know,
listen, I'm just happy to be here.
Nah, man. You know, sometimes it's okay. Like, until people tell us the things, like, if, you know, I know you're like me. You don't realize right. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And sometimes it takes someone to say, like, yo, man, you're doing good stuff. Keep it up. You know, as men, we need an attaboy too sometimes. We need an attaboy. You know?
I appreciate it.
So I'm proud of you, man. You're doing amazing things. I love watching you. I love looking up. You know, it's funny. You're younger than me, and I look up to you as a dad. not as my dad, but like the father that you are. I look at.
I understand. You know,
yeah.
I have great kids, and my wife is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Y'all make the job much easier for me. You know, so I'm grateful for that. Robert Fulper.
Robert Fulper. Yeah, Robert Fulper. We love you too, cuz, homie. Hey, I say cuz because he's really like a cuz. You know, he is a cuz. But family fun event, May 15th. Bring the kids, bring the dogs, bring your willingness to have a great time.
And my parting words are, TJ, thank you for having us back again.
Yes.
Always appreciated. And to everybody that is listening and watching or will be watching and listening, go out there and cause some good trouble.
She's growing, TJ. She's growing.
It's called some good trouble.
Listen, my TikTok handle that I never go on is Good Troublemaker. So
that's
I
funny.
need more people to be willing to cause some good trouble.
And
I love it. Come out on May 15th and cause some good trouble with me.
I love it. Yep. I love it. Thank you guys very much for coming on. With that being said, we are out of here. I appreciate it. I'll have an update on the next show and the next guest tomorrow sometime. Thank y'all very much.
Bye, TJ. Thank you.
This is not a test.